Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nigerian Exchange Group Event Center. At Nigerian Exchange Group, your comfort and safety is our priority. As part of our health and safety policy, please listen to the following announcement. For your convenience, the restrooms are located to your right, just outside the door of this event hall. In the unlikely event of an emergency, 2 exits have been provided for your use. A stairway that you can access from the lift lobby just before you enter the event center. Another emergency exit is located right behind the stage's backdrop. The door can be opened by pushing the handle. Please do not use the elevators during an emergency. Rather, locate the nearest exit from where you are sitting in a calm and orderly fashion. Emergency responders will also be available to provide additional instructions as required. Please switch off your cell phones or activate the silent function so we don't interrupt the proceedings here today. Once again, welcome, and do enjoy your stay at Nigerian Exchange Group.
All right, thank you again. Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the Facts Behind the Rights Issue presentation by Nigerian Breweries PLC. We are gathered for a capital raise for 599.1 billion naira with an offer of 22.6 billion ordinary shares. I will not be speaking about that, but the management of Nigerian Breweries will be doing that shortly. But before we get to the crux of the meet, shall I please recognize the executives we have on the table? From the management of Nigerian Exchange, we have the CEO of the Nigerian Exchange Limited, Mr. Jude Chiemeka. Thank you for joining us. We have the CEO of NGX Regulations, Mr. Femi Shubanjo. The head primary markets, Mr. Tony Beziako, and the doyen of the market, Sam Ndata. Thank you very much. From the management team of the Nigerian Breweries PLC, we have the managing director and CEO of Nigerian Breweries, Mr. Ons Esadi. Thank you. We have the company secretary and the legal director, Mr. Huaboy Agbe Baku. Thank you for joining us. The Group CEO of Vetiva Capital Management, Mr. Chuka Eseka. Thank you. And the Chief Executive, Stanbic IBTC Capital Limited, Mr. Oladele Shotubo. And we also have the Finance Director, Mr. Ben Wessels-Boa. Thank you for joining us today. Also, today we have the Director of NGX, Mr. Azubike Okpaloka. Thank you, sir. We have the CEO, NGX Real Estate, Mr. Gabriel Igbeka. Thank you for joining us. We have the President and Chairman of Council, Mr. CIS, the President and Chairman of Council, the Chartered Institute of Stockbroker, Mr. Oluropo Dada. And the Head Trading and Products, Mr. Abimbola Babalola. From the Vetiva Advisory Services Limited, we also have Mr. Olutade Olaigbe. Thank you. We have Abiodun Adeniran, the MD, Vetiva Securities Limited. Thank you for joining us. From Stanbic IBTC Capital, we have Bumi Olarioye, the Chief Executive, Stanbic IBTC Stockbrokers Limited. And we have Debo Adeoshu, the Head Equity Capital Management. Thank you for joining us today. Yes, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome with me the CEO of NGX, Mr. Jude Chiemeka, for his welcome address. Thank you.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We also have in our midst today the President and Chairman of Action, which is the trade group for our trading license holders, Mr. Sam Nnokwe. Thank you for coming. So on behalf of the board and management of Nigerian Exchange Limited, it is indeed my honor to welcome you to today's significant event, which is the Fast Behind the Rice issue presentation of Nigerian Breweries PLC. I think they deserve a round of applause. If you have been in this market long enough, you know that this is really a giant in our market, having been listed since 1973. As a central feature of NGS's strategy, the Fast Behind the Figure platform supports our mission to enhance transparency, stimulate engagement in the capital markets. We are pleased that Nigerian Breweries has chosen this platform to present its financial performance, operational updates, and strategic plans for its rice issue. I think I will just leave the figures to them to let us know. Sharing timely and accurate data is essential for driving market activity as it strengthens trust and fosters greater. Nigerian Breweries is the pioneer and largest brewery company in Nigeria, engaged in the brewing, marketing, and selling of alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. Incorporated in 1946 and listed on the Nigerian Exchange in 1973, the company boasts a current market capitalization of 294 billion naira, making it one of the largest companies in Nigeria by market value. In the face of ongoing economic challenges, NGX acknowledges the commendable efforts of Nigerian Breweries PLC's board and management enhancing operations, promoting business continuity, and restoring investor confidence. Your dedication to these goals reflects the resilience and adaptability that are essential in today's market environment. The exchange is a multi-asset platform, not limited to equities alone. As a matter of fact, we have 324 listed securities on the exchange today. And this includes 151 equities, 4 exchange-traded derivatives, the NGX index futures, 48 corporate bonds, 156 fixed income bonds on the federal government side, and a whole lot more, because we also support states. We have about 8 local and state bonds that are listed on our exchange. NGS is equally focused on supporting infrastructure financing through specialized instruments like infrastructure bonds and infrastructure funds. These tools are essential in addressing Nigeria's funding shortfall and promoting sustainable economic growth. To further support market growth, we are reviewing our listing rules to lower barriers to entry and attract more companies. This initiative is part of our broader strategy to increase market capitalization, liquidity, and alignment with international standards. By simplifying the listing process, we aim to provide easier access to capital for companies of all sizes and enhance global visibility. Additionally, our advocacy efforts with the Nigerian government on tax reform and foreign exchange allocation are designed to bolster investor confidence and enhance market stability, demonstrating our commitment to the needs of listed companies. Our focus on growth also extends to the tech sector, where we have made significant trends in terms of having a dedicated tech board. And this initiative seeks to encourage tech companies to list locally, giving them increased visibility and access to both domestic and international investors. Supporting Nigeria's growing tech ecosystem remains a top priority, and this board will be pivotal in driving innovation as well as economic advancement. The Nigerian capital market has been able to demonstrate its robust and adaptable nature, effectively navigating domestic and global economic uncertainties while maintaining exceptional performance and resilience. In 2023, the market achieved unprecedented success with all-share index surpassing 74,000 basis points for the first time since the inception of the exchange. This momentum continued into 2024, with the market achieving a 40% year-to-date return in the first quarter, positioning it as the world's best-performing exchange. As of Friday, the NGX All-Share Index and market capitalization stood at 96,433.53 and 95.394 trillion naira respectively. Additionally, our Alternative Securities Exchange Market Index, we call it the XM Index, emerged as the best performing index in the first half of 2024, boasting a gain of 135.25%. I don't think there's any other instrument that has given that sort of return, just looking at where inflation is. And I think that is really what it takes when you make investment in the equities market. It helps you to secure your investment against inflation. Furthermore, NGS's continuous investment in technology has ensured that there has been no downtime in over 5 years, providing investors with seamless access to trade on the exchange. And we really thank our market intermediaries who have really embraced technology, making the right investment to ensure that today our market intermediaries are able to trade from the comfort of their homes. They don't even need to go to their offices to be able to execute trade. And that is really part of our mission, to ensure that anybody who really wants to invest in Nigeria not only has the ability to invest, but you also have the ability to draw liquidity at any time. So you can use your phone to place your orders. Your trading license holders, your stockbrokers can execute your orders without having to go to their offices. Year to date, we've traded about 1.1 trillion naira in our secondary markets, which is about $1.1 billion. So the market remains very robust, and we really are thankful, not just to the federal government for all the various reforms they have done. We were just speaking a while ago that international participation on our market has come off significantly. It used to be 4% before elections. It was 10% last year, but the figure has now gone up to 20% of total value of trades that are done in our domestic market. And this is really speaks to the sort of reforms the government is making on the FX market, as well as all the various initiatives that is ongoing to ensure that the economy becomes a lot more strengthened and able to absorb all shocks, both in the near and the long term. Additionally, through our X Academy, NGS supports listed companies by enhancing investor and customer understanding of the unique benefits of investing in these entities. Our investment in Ethiopia Securities Exchange further exemplifies our commitment to fostering growth and innovation across African markets. I therefore use this opportunity to invite Nigerian breweries and all stakeholders to leverage the benefits of investing on the exchange, including improved access to capital, increased global profile, and access to liquidity. Liquidity is really key. Today, the NGX is a multi-asset exchange, but we do have partnership across different geographies. We have MOU with the London Stock Exchange, and we have seen 2 corporates in Nigeria taking advantage of that to list here and also list in London Stock Exchange. We also have partnership with Luxembourg Stock Exchange, which is the largest sustainability exchange in the world. And we have also seen corporates in Nigeria taking advantage of that partnership to raise capital in Nigeria, as well as listing on the Luxembourg Stock Exchange. We also have partnership with Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and we've seen a corporate taking advantage of that to list in Nigeria as well as in South Africa. And the essence of all this partnership is to ensure that we open up our markets to attract more liquidity and ensure that corporates that are listed on our platform are able to draw on this liquidity to meet all their funding requirements. So the rights issue that Nigerian Breweries is undergoing clearly we rely on this liquidity to be able to meet the capital requirement that they're looking to raise because our market remains very robust indeed. I will therefore conclude by saying that we thank our guests. We recognize, again, through the power of technology, that it's not only the people that are in this room that are participating in today's event. We do have a lot of people also following this event online. As you are aware, Nigerian Exchange Limited is a member of the World Federation of Exchanges. We're also a member of the African Securities Exchanges African Securities Exchanges Association, which allows us to draw across different markets in Africa. So we really thank you for taking the time to be with us here, and we believe that we'll get to hear from Nigerian breweries all the very details regarding their rice issue. And my take is that they will be able to raise the capital because we have a strong market. But beyond that, because they do play a very pivotal role in our economy, creating jobs for so many people, so many families, and creating those alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages that is a delight to most of us in this room. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, sir. And now to the crux of the meet. Shall we please welcome the Managing Director and CEO of the Nigerian Breweries PLC, Mr. Hans Esadi, for his presentation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, a big thank you to Mr. Chiameka and his team, Nigerian Exchange, for having us. Like there is a good Nigerian saying, please permit me to stand on existing protocol. Something I've learned the hard way in my 3 years plus in Nigeria. Without further ado, let me there we are. I hope, can we all see the presentation, by the way? Is that, okay. In the next 30 minutes or so, we will take you through a little bit of the history of Nigerian breweries. And like already mentioned by Mr. Chiameka, a long legacy in Nigeria, but also a long-standing relationship with the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Second part of the presentation will be more around the financials and why we are where we are today. It's comforting to know we're not the only ones, but still some of the numbers that you'll be presented with are quite mind-blowing. So we're hoping also for a way through this very difficult period. Lastly, our company secretary will come to explain in a bit more detail what is the nature of the rights issue and what are some of the timelines. If we move to the next slide, somebody can help me with clicking, I'm clicking. One more, please. Yeah, one more. And one more. We're speeding up matters this way. This is just a snapshot of who we are as Nigerian breweries. We've been in market since 1946, almost 78 years in Nigeria. We weathered many storms, and surely we're maybe in the middle of one, but we have been able to get through before and will continue to do so. This gives you a bit of a snapshot on the way and how we started with can we just go back, please? From the early beginnings with Star Lager, a brand most of you, if not all of you, in Nigeria know, into an operation, a brewery operation, which is national, with 9 brewery operations across Nigeria, both in the west, the southeast, and the north. 21 depots, a team of 2,000 and around 300 people in the meantime, also indirectly employing another 10,000 people. Huge range, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, as Mr. Chiamaka alluded to. The likes of Maltina, Amstel Malta. So there is something for everybody. We're trying to delight consumers across the different age brackets, but also backgrounds. I'm very proud to be able to present this wonderful legacy of the company. Then we move to the next slide. So the crux of it, why invest in the rights issue, why invest in Nigerian breweries? Because if we will be looking, and we will be looking at the numbers later on, these are tough times for our business. We started expanding and modernizing our facilities around 2 years ago, heavily invested in Forex-denominated equipment to making sure that we future-proof the business in Nigeria. And as a result, also with the devaluation of the Naira, we've incurred quite a substantial debt on the balance sheet. Now, why, despite this opening remark, we still believe investing in Nigerian breweries is the right thing to do. Over the 78 years, we've become a true market leader across the various segments in which we operate, from lager, stout, to malt, and also new categories. We have, over the years, built a very, very extensive management and experience with knowledge on the sector and the different markets in Nigeria. We have a portfolio that we can all be proud of, as I alluded to. That's 78 years. We cannot say this enough. We weathered the storm before. We believe that with future-proofing the business that we've just gone through and the experience we have over the so many years in Nigeria, that we are the right company to continue to invest in. Very strong support, and let me also there elaborate. So Heineken, the second largest brewer, international brewer in the world, with a close to 57% shareholding in Nigerian breweries, is not only determined, but also is fully committed, has also fully subscribed to the rights issue and its allocation of 57%, and continues to believe in the future of Nigeria. High liquid stock, I think, also was alluded to earlier. One of the most liquid stocks on the NGX, and it says on the slide, traded around 16% of its outstanding shares over the past 1 year, testament also of the way that Nigerian breweries is being perceived in the market. Competitive, I spoke to lager, stout and malt. If we take it to fast-moving consumer goods in total, it's the number 2 position in food, beverage and tobacco in terms of assets and revenues, this is important to continue to mention. We have invested into the future. Today's position is a bit of a setback also in terms of demand in the market, which, ladies and gentlemen, is slowly also coming back. And we believe we have a real right to win in Nigeria. If we move to the next slide. Now, this is a slide with lots of pictures, but what it tries to do is to show. You want to do this? Okay. A very strong and diversified board, highest ethical compliance norms in the country. With this board and the management team, we believe we have the right skills and expertise to making sure that we get through the current storm, but also continue to create and add value to our shareholders and further stakeholders. I spoke on portfolio. Also dare to mention that we have just acquired a new business in Nigeria, a company called Distel Nigeria, where we will further diversify. If you look on the right-hand side into wine, spirits, and RTD, so away from our core business, lager, stout, and malt, we see also on the basis of changing consumer demand that we have a real opportunity in adjacent categories, and with the distribution footprint, we directly go to more than 500,000 outlets across Nigeria. That with this latest acquisition will be able to create opportunity even beyond where we are today. I think that was 2 slides. So key strengths, very quickly. So one of the leading beverages companies in Nigeria, very strong support from the core shareholder, very strong production and distribution footprint that we further expanded and modernized, and an experienced board and management. Now, to quickly speak beyond commercially what we do, we believe we are also a very reputable business. We are here, obviously, to make sure that our shareholders are happy, but we also want to be a leading company when it comes to sustainability and compliance. On this slide are some of the numbers that we're really proud of, making sure that we turn our business longer term also in a green business, that we make sure that we give back to local communities where we can, and that in terms of electricity, in terms of energy, in terms of water, we try to limit our footprint as much as we possibly can. These are some pictures on the capacity extension and modernization. So this has happened both in the southeast, in Enugu State, in a brewery called Amma Brewery, now the largest brewery operation in Africa, and in Kudenda in the north, also to speak to the fact that we are a truly and maybe the only real true Nigerian business with further investments made in the northern part of Nigeria. With that, a very quick introduction of Nigerian Breweries. I will hand over to our CFO, Ben Wesselsboer, to talk us through some of the financials. Thank you.
Thanks, Hans Asadi. Yeah, please also allow me to stand on existing protocol. Then we will move to the financial slides. So I will comment a bit on first operational performance, and I will also comment on our balance sheet. And I think that that last part, right, that's why we are here. We're here to talk about a rights issue to repair our balance sheet. But first, operationally, I will highlight that with the first half year of 2024. And later, I will also show the history. But I think given the very difficult circumstances which we have in Nigeria, especially with the high devaluation, the high inflation, the high impact on disposable income, we're doing well as a business if you look at our operational results. And here you see a bridge, and it shows also in some boxes the revenue, the gross profit, and the operating profit first, where we show growth versus the previous half year. In the half year 1 of 2023. And that growth, if you look at operating profit, why do we have that growth? It's driven first of all by revenue growth. That's the big light blue bar, which is driven a combination of volume growth, but also assertive pricing, but also mix improvements and innovations. And you see that with that revenue growth, we have been able to more than compensate the cost increase, because there has been steep cost increases in Nigeria because of the devaluation. And I want to highlight one thing, so just to highlight that it's not just about increasing prices, but this is also really about improving our productivity. So what we've done, you've seen that the personal cost there is relatively flat or almost the same. That's not because we have not increased salaries. Yes, we have also increased salaries, but we have increased our productivity. So we're, if you look at improving our performance, we also look at, okay, how can we improve our productivity in these competitive times? How can we make sure that we lower our cost base in the time where demand was a bit slower? So I think we're doing well on the operational performance. Then if you look at the net profit, there you see the red dot. And that is very much linked to what we've seen in most Nigerian companies because of devaluation. We also had, because of the FX scarcity and FX debt on our balance sheet, and if we look at the first half of 2024, we saw that the Naira to the dollar devaluated from 900 end of 2023 to about 1,500 end of June. So that's resulted in a revaluation of our FX debt. Then on the next slide, showing a bit more the history of our operational performance, so going further back in time, and you can see that we are a growth company that continuously we have been able to grow our revenue, the top left bar, our gross profit, but also our EBITDA. And for 2024, there we indicate the last 12 months. So that's the first half of 2024 plus the second half of 2023. So there we have seen growth. On the other end, if you look at the last graph and the EBITDA, and then you see that EBITDA is still growing, but there's also an EBITDA margin, and that has been under pressure, especially since 2022, again linked to devaluation, high rise in input cost, which we can only pass on to our consumers because of disposable income, but also because of the competitive environment, we can only pass that on to a certain extent. So therefore also we believe that we need a bit of stability within Nigeria, and we see the first signs at this moment, but we need some stability to also recover those EBITDA margins to the historical levels where we have been, around 20%. So that's on operational performance. And then I think this is mostly where we are here, and that is if we look at some key ratios linked to our balance sheet, you see that that has been impacted by the recent devaluation, and on top of that also the capacity extension. But for that reason, of course, we have capacity available that once the market bounces back, we can grab that market opportunity. So our debt has increased because of devaluation and also because we expanded our capacity. Also our asset has increased, mostly again because of devaluation, also the capacity extensions, but maybe also good to note that if we look at our property, plant and equipment, if we look at that value end of the first half 2024 versus end of 2023, we see that that has stabilized. So more or less we are done with our capacity extensions, and that is, we don't need future capital for that. Now then the equity, which has been lowered because of the operating losses, and the same on the last part. So I think what I really want to highlight is that we feel that, and the numbers also show that operationally we're doing a good task. We're growing our revenue. We have been able to relatively lower our fixed cost base as a percentage of revenue. So on that way we are on the right path. What we do need is a bit of stability, which also allows us to recover those EBITDA margins to around 20%. But we are here and we're discussing the rights issue, mostly because we need to do two things. We want to fully eliminate the FX exposure on our balance sheet. We have seen at Nigerian Breweries, but also at a lot of other companies, that if you have an FX exposure on your balance sheet and there's devaluation, that has a massive impact on your net profit. So that is one thing we can fully eliminate with that rights issue, eliminate overdue FX debt. And at the same time, we also want to lower our Naira debt to healthy levels, which we can sustain with our cash generation. So after that, with that business recovery plan, both P&L and balance sheet, we believe that we will be in a healthy and good shape after the rights issue. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ben. So basically, Mazi. Must always be a Mazi. Good afternoon, everybody. And Mazi said I should say that I'm standing on the existing protocol. So basically, what is this about? And that's what the slide that is coming on and going off. So it is the why and the what of the rights issue. So I'll pick it up from where Ben stopped, which is basically the why, just again to emphasize that we are here because, first off, we want to eliminate all overdue FX payables. And the impact of that would be that we will no longer be subject to the vagaries of devaluation that we see. Of course, you guys, you know how to analyze results better than I do, and you see on a regular basis that FX loss is huge in our P&L that we show to you guys. So that's what we want to first of all do. Once we're able to clear all these outstanding payables, then we will no longer be having that in our P&L account in our results. And the second leg of it, of course, is that we also want to reduce as much as possible local debt, local bank borrowing, Naira borrowing. And the impact of that also is that it will eventually reduce the interest burden that we are carrying. We all know what the interest rate today is. I heard it's come down a bit now, or not yet, but it's, as the last time, it was over 26% NPR, but you know that's just NPR. So these are the things we really want to sort with our rights issue. And in terms of the what, so you now understand from the numbers that Ben showed why we are talking 599 billion. Because people have asked why that huge amount, why are you raising so much money? But now you see the numbers that Ben showed, our finance director. So that explains the 599.1 billion that we are aiming to raise to deal with the issues that I have just mentioned. And shareholders who were in the books as at the 12th of July are the ones who qualify to participate in the right issue. Again, I'm talking to a knowledgeable audience, so you know what, how these dates are set. And as at the date, as at that 12th of July, when we notified the NGX, we were trending at about 10.8% discount in terms of the price that we had set. So that also explains why we have the 26 Naira 50 kobo that we set there. So for every 5 shares that we have, that we hold, your clients, you yourselves you hold, then you will be paying for 11 new shares in the company. Again, at the end of it all, we're going to also add to the market capitalization of the NGS by increasing the market capitalization. The offer is running, as you all know. I see a lot of us coming in here with the flyer. That's what we want. Take these flyers and do the needful. Talk to your clients. The managing director has made the case why we must continue to invest in a company like Nigerian Breweries that has been in this market since 1946. We've seen the ups, we've seen the down, we've weathered all the kind of storm, SAP, and everything that we've seen in this economy, and we came out of it. So it's the kind of company that we're talking about that we want you guys to continue to support through this right issue. If I may just move to the next slide. We've seen the rationale. Ben has spoken about it. I have mentioned it. In terms of the allocation of funds, you could see that the repayment of FX obligations, it's about 328 billion. So that's the huge FX debt we are carrying in our books. And that's the first thing we want to do with it. And then what is left will go into repayment of local obligations. In terms of the impact of all of that, I again mentioned it earlier. The professional advisors we are working with, you know them. These are experienced, these are knowledgeable people in this market. They are not strangers to you. And in terms of timeline, the expectation is that by the 3rd week of November, your clients and everybody who participated in this, who would have participated in this right issue, would have had the shares credited to the respective account, as well as the shares listed on the floor of the NGX. And then I will move to the next slide, where we'll just leave it on this slide, and then we open the floor for questioning. Thank you so very much.
All right, thank you to the management of Nigerian Breweries for the presentation. And now we'll move to questions. But very quickly, before we get there, let me quickly recognize Mr. Peter Medoye. He is the Chief Financial Officer of CSCS, who is representing the CEO of CSCS. Thank you very much. Now we'll take questions in sets of threes. Please, if you have questions, kindly signify by raising up your hand. Shall we start from this side, please? We have one hand.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Emeko Kolo. I trade for Martin Trust Limited. As I was saying, I trade for Martin Trust Limited. I was waiting to see some financials that will tell us when you are turning the curve. So far, because we have seen loss over these years, when you are turning the curve to profitability. The issue of FX can be tackled. I don't know what the efforts you are making in terms of backward integration. No mention was made of it. What allotments have you made to research, R&D, research and development, to help you navigate the FX shortage and what you have in terms of sourcing raw materials? That is very, very key. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Okezia Boniface, the National Chairman of Progressive Shareholders Association Nigeria. Yeah, MD and your team, Hans, I've told you every company in Nigeria today is FS volatility that were made loss. Like Nigerian Brewery have been paying dividend, no doubt about that, except this financial year, that resulted in the loss of FS. And we also have developed local raw material. I've been told time with that number, except some certain things, because Nigerian Brewery cannot compromise standard and quality of noted brand, And if those local cannot be sourced, those local material, they have to bring it for the parent company. But I know of a sure that Nigerian Brewery have weathered the storms. Not even, this one is not climate change made, That we have been told is a climate change. This is as a result of also negligence by our, leadership, all those regulating today. If this efforts are available and we're able to pay at the rate is available, you source local material and pay, we don't have all these problems accumulated. But when you want to pay, the thing have gone high. That's all the problem we met. Every company suffer it. That's where we are. Only country that depend on oil, only source of income. And you begin to talk, where would the SF come from to service other sectors? It's the same oil. And if it's lost, because we have not been told how much we are raking in. That's the problem in this country. And we continue to persist. There's no way out. But MD have assured us as shareholders in the various forums, measures been taken to address these issues, that it doesn't occur again. And for the company to return to profitability, this is the first stage they are taking, the right issue. And we strongly believe by the end of this exercise, the dividend will start coming back, as been noted in the past. We'll be reaping dividend from Nigerian breweries. A lot of investments have been made. We're not making more investments because the breweries are theirs. Both Ama and Aba, and Lagos and Kaduna, what have you, in Imo State, even though some of them are temporarily short, but we also believing they are still working, So the ND, you must assure us today that after this exercise, by November, everybody have received their whatever they subscribe for, that money will be now used to reduce the burden, the debt paid off, both foreign and local, so that you will now concentrating. That's only area people are expecting for you to address. If you're addressing all the payable debt, what are shareholders? They will also have debt to pay to them. And that's dividend they are looking at, So you must come back to banks and pay the high dividend you have been noted in the past. In the times of capital appreciation, when that comes back, I mean, in every phase in life, that's what people pass through. Countries are passing through, not talk about company, But unfortunately, the purchasing power have also been reduced by Nigerians because they say they are happiest people, even though where there are capitals, poverty in the world. We're still the happiest people in the world because by the evening, like the people go about merrymaking and they enjoy themselves because the products you produce, But today, that have been taken away from them. That's where we are. The 70,000 cannot afford for those civil servants to go to joint and drink, have pleasure. Say, my friend, accompany me in the bar, take one bottle, take this and that. It's no longer. So I don't know how the purchasing power will be enhanced so Nigerians can go back to the joint and the booker to eat and drink. So, Mr. Chairman, the MD, you need to reassure them. That's what they want to hear from you. Issue of paying debt, are hearing this. You need to assure that those people who are going to exercise their right, that dividend is on the way, is coming back in a bigger place, in a bigger way. So that's the only thing. But I know Nigerian Breweries cannot shun away from that because you have been doing the past and you do it again. We'll have the best company secretary in the world, in the Nigeria today, the best, Waboy. So as long as he's there, we're going to bombard him with calls if the dividend is not coming. My friend, tell these white people that the Dutch cannot come here taking money away without rewarding local investors. No, it can't happen. So we're on your tree for you alone in particular. I have your number. So I know my message will be delivered when I send it to you. So they have endorsed this offer, but my worry was that we should have make this in the right figure, but it's already gone out anyway. Secretary would have helped us, and the IBTC, this your problem, IBTC, this, if you are making it round figure to 26 naira, then putting that additional on top, will not helpful. That round figure, because I don't know why people goes round, If you make it round figure, everybody know what they are subscribing for, than putting that 50 go extra there, so that, this year will be oversubscribed at the end of the day. I think with the track record, it will go a long way. People will subscribe fully.
Thank you.
Thank
you, sir. There is someone behind. Hello. Yes.
Thank you very much. David Adonri of High Cap Securities. I stand on existing protocols. I think looking at the financials of Nigerian breweries, first, let me commend the company that is one of the iconic companies that a lot of investors are attracted to, and so many investors have benefited all these years from Nigerian breweries. But having said that, I think it's a little bit surprising that the balance sheet of such an iconic company could be so severely battered as a result of two things. import dependence since 1946. And secondly, currency risk that crystallized. And so I know my colleague, Dr. Emeka Okulo, has spoken about the need for backward integration so that you can actually be less import dependent and also relieve this economy of distress that import dependence has thrust on it all these years, which we are now trying to overcome. But looking at the currency risk that crystallized, I would bounce this to the table of the finance director, that what efforts are you making to hedge your currency exposure in future to ensure that you are not battered again by exposure to currency risk? And the good thing now is that even in this market, we have derivative financial instruments that you can use to hedge your currency risk. Thank you very much.
Yes, can we take responsibility to those questions, and then we'll come back for the next batch of.
Is this on? Yeah. So first of all, thank you very much for the questions. I will just start with the first one, and then maybe my colleagues can chip in. First question was around returning back to profitability, and we all say we wish we had this big crystal ball, the crystal ball of Nigeria, to assess exactly when. Our comment, and I can only repeat, we are ready. We have completely future-proofed our business when demand in the market comes back, and this is an orchestrated effort. When we think about the new administration, some of the measures that have been taken that were very painful, and we can dwell on them, but the belief is that mid-long term, they will bear fruit. And when there is some signals at the moment, we see inflation coming down a little bit, it's maybe too soon to tell. I think my colleague was referring to interest rates coming down. That has not happened yet, but maybe soon. Some of the indicators that we need for consumer confidence to come back to this market, for ways to overcome affordability issues in the market at the moment, Nigerian breweries will be more than ready. We talked about future-proofing the business. We have, at the moment, overcapacity. That's not a nice thing to have for the short term, but for the longer term, this is going to bode very, very well. So my answer to the profitability question is very much around we're ready when times come. Last leg to this, and we're just coming out of the rainy season, or may it continue for a little bit, but we're moving into the peak season. I think the mood, when you think about diaspora, anyway, around sort of December, January, we might see a surge in demand. We've seen this before. In the middle of COVID, for those of you who recall, we went from huge drama all of a sudden into this surge of demand. This can happen overnight. Volatility in Nigeria, if I learned one thing over my more than 3 years here, the unpredictability and the volatility of Nigeria. So today we're here, tomorrow we might be somewhere else. If it happens, we're ready to take full advantage. And by the way, that will lead, obviously, like we've always done, this leads to dividends. Our profit, we share. As a reputable company, we make money, we share with all of you. And I know you represent some of our minority shareholders, but we do. There was a question on local sourcing and how do we backward integrate. The beauty is that partly we're doing this as much as we can, but there is also key ingredients, and one is very notable, which is barley, malted barley. which is not available in Nigeria at the moment. Rest assured, we're working, and this has been a multi-year project, and we are determined to make it work. But for now, we're not there yet, so we have to import one of our key ingredients. This is for our international premium brands especially. So think about Heineken, think about Tiger, think about Desperados. For our local product, over the years, we have been able to convert. You've all heard about sorghum. Sorghum is a locally produced raw material in the lager beer that we produce, the mainstream lager, the Life and the Goldberg of this place, which is a crop that has been developed by Nigerian breweries when times were tough. And for those of you who have been here longer, know that the beer industry was under huge pressure when there was a ban on barley at one point. And which company survived this ban on barley is the company that reinvented itself and came with the solution of the sorghum. Just to bear that in mind, and maybe that answers a bit of the question there. Something on balance sheet, Ben. Is that something you want to do, or if it becomes difficult, the CFO can do this, right? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's open. No, thanks so much for the questions. And also for me, to comment on when do we go back to profitability. I think very important that we eliminate, because what is profitability? It's the operating profit minus the interest minus the FX losses, and then you get to your and tax, and then the net profit. So we can fully eliminate that FX exposure, the overdue FX exposure. So if there's any devaluation, there's no FX loss. And then it's about getting your operating profit again ahead of the interest expense. Now, therefore, of course, it will be important that we get this rights issue in, hopefully to the full extent, to really lower that interest burden. But at the same time, indeed, operating profit we need to grow again. Now, how fast that exactly we don't know. It can happen already next year. But of course, yeah, what is very important is stability within this market to get back to that positive net profit. Then on FX risk and hedging. So and I want to separate there two things. First of all, indeed, what's on your balance sheet and going concern during the year. Of course, you also need to import things, and you have an FX need. So whatever on the balance sheet, so historical FX overdue, we fully want to eliminate, and we don't want to get it back. So I think that will be fully solved with the rights issue. There will always be a small part outstanding invoices, but only current. Can only be something which needs to be paid in the next 30 days, but that can only be a small amount. So that exposure will not be anymore there, and I think that's very important. Then on your P&L, how do you hedge there? I think one of the things indeed we commented on is localization. Really important is how much do you need. On the raw materials, we're there with the sorghum. We're in the project with the barley. And on packaging material, I'm also proud to mention that it is almost fully localized. The things we import in our packaging materials is really marginal. So that will really help us there. We're developing also export, so we're looking also at how can we export our finished products, but even we exported some commodities, that we really have a minimal balance of what we need. And if something happens during the year, I think we've also shown this year that with pricing, with adjustments, with cost adjustments, we can easily and quickly adjust to new reality to make sure that we absorb a potential higher input cost because of higher FX. Now then there was a comment on financial instruments. Yes, we're looking into that. We also have to say we find them still relatively expensive at this moment, that you pay the full devaluation or expected devaluation maybe already in advance. But it is one of the things where we're looking into. But first of all, we want to eliminate our historical overdue FX debt, and we want to really limit our FX need during the year.
Thank you. We have Sanona, please. Could you, the mic? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, the team from Nigerian Breweries. Good evening. For the records, my name is Nona Awu, and I want to assure you that I will not go the route of another presentation by the team from Nigerian Breweries. But let me start from where the finance director dropped it. We have local debt. We have foreign debt. what is it that we have done in terms of local debt? Because one of the answer you gave is they're expensive. What are we doing to make sure that we bring down the cost of the local debt? In the midst of all of this capital raising that we are doing. And the reason I asked that, probably before I go to that, part of the debt that we owe internationally also relates to what is also going to our parent company. I'll be interested, how much of that are they also going to forgo? Because it's interesting that we get to realize that the way the company is currently standing, I don't know what advice you've been given, there's also a national pride. Before now, Nigerian breweries used to be less than 50% Heinekens and 60% Nigerian. Because you are coming in the midst of the big boys, talking about the banks, should we have a subscription from the local investors of less than 50%? We are going to have Nigerians hold less than 30% of Nigerian breweries. Is this something that you thought about? Because if we had done the route of, can we take out the foreign investor first? The ratio that you'll be asking Nigerian to take in terms of new units will be smaller, and then the ability to make sure that we are not far from where we are starting from. Yes, I know you say that he who pays the piper, but that also has its own implication. We've seen some of the things that happen in other African countries. So we don't get to a point where we then become the targets of hostility, what's it called? Hostility. That can be very bad for any business. And I tell you this because 7-Up has not recovered. I shouldn't mention another company, but because it's not listed, they have not recovered from some of the things that they did to Nigerian investors. So I'll be interested as to what exactly that will also be involved in. The last one. Yes, you are used to paying good dividends. When you pay 1 naira 20 kobo, you'll be good. Again, depending on where you are coming from. But when you have almost 33 billion units paid up, and then all the stories that you've told, we are not sure how government will go, we are not sure what the purchasing power will be, we're not sure. So we don't finish at 26 naira, and then that we find that investors are also struggling at sub 20. It has happened before, and you know that it has happened before. But in all of this, I want to thank you for this presentation, because the truth of the matter is that investors need to know beyond what they find in the annual account as to how their businesses and their investments are being run. And I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There's one other hand raised behind you.
Kehinde Adiaga, Business and Financial Perspective on Rainbow FM, standing on existing protocol. Some of the questions I want to ask has been asked by Mr. Nona. But again, I want to know, is there any agreement between the issuing houses and the company for an underwriting? Because you are coming in the midst of banks coming to raise capital. And the likelihood of shareholders, the same shareholders you are targeting, will be wanting to take up their rights in the banking industry, maybe because of the price, maybe because it's a well-regulated sector compared to yours. So should your rights be undersubscribed? Will it be written by the issuing house? Again, the price, the 11 for 5, how did you come about this? in order to encourage would-be investors or existing shareholders? Thank you.
Yes, can we have responses to these questions? Do we have? All right.
Thanks for the questions. I think the first question was on the cost of debt and the cost of local debt, and what do we also do to make sure that we can lower it, and also what is Heineken as one of the major shareholders doing there to lower it. I think one thing I can mention that Heineken has already agreed to stop the interest charge on the intercompany loan to Nigerian breweries. And for the local debt, we're looking at all possible sources on a continuous basis to make sure that we get the lowest possible loans within the market. And then maybe on the last question, we're not asking for this capital injection because that's something we want. That's because of the situation we ended up in. But we believe this is the right thing to do to be again ready for the future. We're also here because we want to ask everybody, all our shareholders, to contribute. So I think that is really important to note that we really want everybody to fully subscribe, and in that way also the shares of all shareholders can remain the same.
All right, thank you very much for those responses. Shall we please have Hoj want to say something?
A question was asked as it relates to underwriting rights and the rights ratio. Because rights are offered to existing shareholders, rights issues are typically not underwritten. So you won't find a scenario where rights issues are underwritten. The offer is exclusive to existing shareholders. Investors that are not shareholders can, however, purchase rights on the floor of the exchange, and they can then subscribe. Okay. Second question, if you listen to what the MD and the finance director said, the funding that is being raised is meant to resolve the challenges the company is faced. And shareholders gave the company the approval to raise up to 600 million naira. 600 billion naira. Now, to raise 600 billion naira, looking at the share trading pattern, when you do the arithmetic, that's how we arrived at a rights ratio of 11:5. Would have preferred if it worked out as 2-to-1, so that is easier, but these are the numbers we had to work with, and 11 new shares for every 5 was the closest approximation we could get to 600 billion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Can we now have Sam Ndata for the vote of thanks?
Thank you very much. First, want to thank the Exchange Group for making this platform available for Nigerian Brewery to come and express themselves and showcase what their problems are. And I thank the press and the brokers who are here. And I also thank the Managing Director of MBL and his group for taking the initiative to come. At least it's not easy to know that your records are not too good, and you take the boldness to come. We thank you for coming, and we are grateful to those you have chosen to do the financial advising work and all that, because I think that's the only thing that will make this thing fair, because I know Chuka and Dele, that they are rugged in their way of marketing, and I know they can sell anything. They can sell anything. Because why I say that is because my grandmother used to say that there's a dead body that died. They want to bring it to the ground. Say, no, 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 no. They want to send it up. You say, no, 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 no. So where will you be? It has gotten to that extent in MBL. And you are saying the shareholders should wait for dividend, and we don't know how long they will wait. I know they say monkey meat is good, sweet, when it is dry. But what will I be eating to wait for the monkey meat to dry? Yes, I know you are good I have it before, it's not riches. Because that you have before is past. It's in the past. Now, what is on ground is that you are done and we want to resuscitate you, to resurrect you, to make you become what you are before. So I know Chuk and Dele will do something to that regard. Because if they cannot do it, they know what to do. Somebody took a patient to the church, say he's sick, is this. They say, we cannot do anything. But say, you must do something. It's okay, sow seed. If he sow seed, he will survive. Then the same thing, he took to native doctor. The native doctor say, this one must die. What I'm seeing in my ball is that this person must die. Say, is there nothing you can do? Say, okay, we'll do sacrifice. Go and bring goat, fowl, and all that to survive. And they know how to get goat and the fowl to, to do this magic. Yes, I'm happy that one of the shareholders is here, Boniface Okeze. Since they have agreed, because I know the season is not too good, children are going back to school, and the banks are raising money, and everywhere is scarce to get fund. Well, I don't know where our suggestions go. I know Dele and Chuka know what to do. My advice is that the shareholders, because if not that I'm half share there before, I will not tell somebody to come and buy when I know he's not a shareholder. So I will say, please, the only thing that makes crayfish to bend is hard condition. This condition must be looked at, and the shareholder have to do something. Doing something, I know he that had eaten well is somebody that can withstand harsh weather. Shareholder, please do something to make sure that this issue is fully subscribed. I want to say that MBL, by the time you come back next time, I believe you will say good news, because the financial advisors you have chosen, I don't know who advised you to choose them. I keep emphasizing because I know what I'm talking about. They are good. They can do this work. By the time you finish, I know the music will be good. Here and my catechism for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doyen. And at this point, we bring the facts behind the rights issue presentation by Nigerian Breweries to a close. A big thank you to everyone for joining us today. My name is Ayomide Oguntoye, and I'll see you some other time. Thank you. Please, may I ask? Okay, yes.